So the things that have happened over the last couple of months of my life, um, they're big and they're completely life altering. And essentially, there weren't enough accommodations that could be made to allow me to continue working as a teacher, which I love working and I love being a teacher. There's a mismatch between my brain that is always on and my body that just um, can't keep up with anything. I and I'm always in pain. If you have ever known me, then you have engaged with me while I was at a pain level of between 5 and 9. I do not remember the last time that I was not in daily pain. That evidently is not something to be expected in life. I know that I was in daily pain as far back as 18 when I was in the military. So it's just that my body was younger and I was able to just push through. And then every decade or so, it got harder and harder to hide how much pain I was in. Um, and then COVID happened to all of us. In our family, a whole lot of other things happened at the same time that COVID was happening. But those are stories for another day. I think the main thing I want to express right now is just out, most especially to my loved ones who didn't know this was happening. The only people engaged in what was happening to me while it was happening are those were my children and those very closely connected to my children and my doctor and the administration where I work. Even my closest friends, I didn't really keep them apprised of what was happening. And there are so many people I love that we're close, but that doesn't mean we talk all the time. And I think we all have those friendships and they're very, very valuable. But since we don't happen to talk all the time, then that means when big things happen, a lot of times you don't know. So I felt like I need to just say out loud that I am okay. Like, I'm sharing my journey, I'm sharing my struggles for a few reasons. One, it is genuinely therapy for me. And I will do separate videos about that. And two, I really believe that most of us struggle so much more than we show. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I don't regret all the years that I could hide how much pain I was in. But while it's totally fine to handle our struggles privately, there's value in being seen. And by doing this, I'm not only trying to be seen myself, that absolutely is part of it, but also it is my hope that some of you feel seen because something that it is happening to me or something I say or do or feel, you go, oh, I understand that. I feel that. And that has happened to me a lot in watching, reels or clips, those kinds of things. And there's been a few that were life-saving for me. So I decided to join the conversation. My entire job right now is to try to heal my body. And for chronic pain sufferers, even with diagnosed, named reasons for that chronic pain, there's a very strong correlation between having chronic pain issues and having had trauma in your life. And again, we've all had trauma, but a lot of trauma in my life. And the pain, right, started early. So even if we skipped any trauma since then, the trauma of childhood is still to this day impacting my life. And I've been to a ton of therapy, because honestly, if I hadn't been to therapy, I would almost certainly not still be here. So I just can't do therapy now because I absolutely don't have the extra for it. I didn't even have the extra for it when I was working and living in my hometown. But I do know the pieces of therapy that helped me the most. And one of those pieces is being seen. Because if you have privately endured trauma so that others could live free, then you become invisible. And I'm not a person that most people would describe as invisible. I've always also been me. I am at heart a lover of stories, a teller of stories, an entertainer for sure. So, like, if you ask people who know me, like, has she just like not had a voice? I doubt anybody would be like, oh yeah, like she's a wallflower. At least, okay, if you knew me in junior high or high school, you would say, oh God, yeah, she was a wallflower. But like after that, not so much. But I think people get it confused sometimes when someone says, oh, I've been silenced. I haven't been heard. And they're like, well, like, I hear you talk all the time. I've heard you tell stories. I've seen you say, no, I won't do that, or whatever. But for anything that is done in public, if there are 1,000 things heavy that you kept privately in your heart, with a smile on your face, then being seen for those things, that can be critical. And for me it is, because the more I can uncover the things that might be hidden or hard that I kept secret for any number of reasons, then it's my hope that my body begins to maybe release some pain as well. I can't know that, but it's the first time in really my life, but definitely 30 plus years, that I have the time to pay attention to me. And even saying that is so weird, because I am a human who has been socialized to put me last, and to actively not trust me. to actively not trust what my gut says, to actively deny my needs, to be ashamed over anything that is less than whatever any particular room I'm in thinks I should bring to the room with me. An example is the fact that I now have to use a cane, and I actually hope that I can somehow rehabilitate to the point where, at minimum, maybe I can walk without having to have the cane. So I don't need the cane at all moments. The problem is that I can't know when I'm going to need the cane. I can't know when any part of my body is going to simply stop working. So because of that, I've had the habit now for well over a decade of staying close to walls. So as a teacher, walking down the hall, I always stayed close to the wall. And people could walk by and not know that I am leaning on the wall because I am waiting for my body to work again. And when my body stops working, it comes with a rush of pain. So I might be standing there at a pain level of 8, waiting for my body to work again, but with a smile on my face, talking to students as they pass by, saying hi to other teachers as they pass by. And again, in that room, I don't regret that. Of course, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to start sobbing in front of students and teachers. It's just that even adding the cane to that, I was at a level of disability that, school just said, no, we can't make the accommodations that you need in order to be able to work. And so I am, for the first time, just trying to own the term disabled. And so you'll hear me say disabled woman a lot. I'm sure I will say I'm a disabled woman on the road alone with my dog a lot, because there's so many stories that start exactly there. But there's nothing for anyone else to fix here. All I can do is try to be as therapeutic as possible for myself, for my body, for where I am in time, in this moment, in hopes that the end result is a more functional body, a less stressed nervous system, a clearer brain. So anyway, it was just very important for me to let everybody know that, like, of course, if you want to say, oh, I didn't even know you were struggling, or why didn't you call me, or anything like that. I need everyone I love and who loves me to know that there was no more capacity for contacting people. There was no time. When the writing was on the wall and I knew this was coming, my doctor had already said to quit working, and I had already pushed myself beyond the point where my doctor had said, to quit working because it was stressing my body too much. And I had to somehow close out my whole house. And there's really no way to say that without sounding sad, and some things are very sad. I had created a adorable little cozy home for most especially my youngest child, and Nala, the dog, and I. And we loved our cozy little place for 2.5 years. But the changes in my life dictated that there was no other possible next move than to close out everything I own. And I did as much of that as I could by myself. And then a family member brought a team of people in to help me, and it took 3 separate trips for them to come into town to help me. I shift a lot, and that's a pain thing as well, where I have to shift my body. I can't stay in one position very long at all. I just thought I would explain that, as I noticed, well, this is happening a lot. So that's why I'm shifting. Anyway, for those that love me and are concerned about me, absolutely reaching out is great, and makes me feel loved. I just don't want you to worry about me in a way that makes you feel like anybody, no matter how close we are, missed the boat somehow and didn't help me when I needed help. There just wasn't time for me to try to figure out who might help, number one. And number two, this is a long-term problem, not an easy fix. And so, of course, I would call a bestie or a niece or sibling if there was some kind of quick, short intervention that would have kept me in my home and in my hometown. That wasn't possible. This isn't that. This is the result of a life of trauma and a body holding trauma and a body holding pain and diseases that, even doctors don't know much about, to be honest. So thank you to everyone who has reached out. It means everything to me, and I absolutely will connect with all of you. But please don't lose any sleep at night, and don't worry that I need you to come fix something. And trust if, for instance, the car stops working, which is like really critical to this untethered style of life where I'm roaming and looking for the most affordable possible solution to where I am. If my car stops working, I'll probably run through everyone until I find someone who can help me. So that's the other thing, is if something truly unfixable or something I genuinely cannot handle happens, I will reach out. So I want those who love me to know that. But for now, I am okay. And I have run out of time in the place I'm staying now. And so I am heading closer to the ocean every time I drive. And I've taken I think a 3 or 4 day rest from that. My birthday's coming up. My goal is to be at the ocean on my birthday. And the reason for that isn't like a vacation. The reason for that, besides the fact that, yes, I do love the ocean. Not everybody does, but, a lot of people do. I love the ocean. But even more importantly, the least pain I feel in life is floating in the ocean on a sunny day because heat helps and cold hurts. And the buoyancy of salt water allows me to move and even exercise in ways that I can't on land. And so that movement is helpful for my body. So I am hoping to stay within 30 minutes of the ocean until summer, when I am hoping to be able to go back to Arkansas and spend summer with two of my kids who are in Arkansas. And then over the summer, I decide what's next. At the end of the day, I'd love to return to work, and I'd love to be a full-time teacher. But not only could the school that I was at not give me the accommodations that I needed to make that work, but I have had a lot of interviews, and I have had actually quite a few headhunters even reach out to me. But once the disability accommodations come into play, then I am again in a position where they're not going to choose me if someone with the same or better qualifications is available who doesn't need the accommodations. And that's just the reality that I live in. So my job is to do my best to be good to myself and my body, and hope that some strength and vitality returns to my physical self. I'd love to get my physical self more in line with the really, really strong and active mental self. That mismatch is brutal to live. So I'm slowing myself down because I don't have a choice. And I am okay. So again, nothing to fix. I'm just trying to be seen. And in the meantime, since I'm doing this, right, I might as well kind of blend being real and raw, and also showing things that are beautiful, happy, cute, human connection. Because even in this unexpected and actively avoided situation that I ended up in, I find so much beauty everywhere, every day, in my surroundings, in the authentic, human connections that I've made. Gosh, I have so many stories. And I want to share that too. So, I don't know. We could call it tulips and trauma. I don't know. At any rate, this is now a 25-ish minute video. And I know that with the attention spans that we all have, there's only going to be a few people who make it all the way to the end. Hopefully, my actual target audience, which is people who love and care about me before I started doing this, feel better about where I am, and that I'm not in danger, I'm not at risk, I'm okay. I am on a precipice, so hopefully I continue to be okay. But if I am ever not, I will call you, okay? And you know who you are. you know whether or not I would call you. So just trust that I will call you before I, end up completely without resources, which I absolutely hope won't happen, and absolutely am working really hard to make it not happen. And after this, I will return to my format of like long videos being 3 to 6 minutes, and lots of these little 10-second shorts where I can just talk about one thing, because I know that like that's just where we are. And anybody who did stick with me this long, thank you. Comment, like, share, but also share with me what resonates with you. Have you gone through something similar? Are you going through something similar now? Do you have a loved one? Did something I say make you think of something? Because that's what authenticity is about. There's not much point in it, to my way of thinking, without it including relationships and connection. So, anyway, I think that's everything I had to say for this thing right now, today. Again, thank you for hanging with me for all of that. And I am going to get back to pre-packing because I'm going to have to head out of here tomorrow. So have a happy day, everyone. I certainly plan to.